Hey, what's up guys? Jaden here. Welcome back to another YouTube video. Today, I want to show you how to do a SEO strategy from scratch. I'm going to go through everything live. So if you're a beginner, you're new to SEO, or if you are just running a marketing campaign for your own business, or you're a marketing manager, you're trying to figure out how to actually start a SEO strategy, like what should you be doing first, what is the most important, like with SEO there's so many things for you to do, what should you be focusing on first. This video will be able to help you out. I'll walk through with you live. I'll do everything live, so everything will be not edited, and I'm really excited to be creating videos like this again, because I think with all these kind of like live strategies, live SEO work, it's more of what you guys want. So I'm creating this. And let's not waste time. Let's get started. I'm going to bring you to the screen. And as usual, I will be trying to explain everything along the way and kind of show you guys what to look out for and stuff like that. And because this is live and I don't have a project that currently requires an SEO strategy, I'm going to randomly pick one and then we're just going to go from there. So really exciting stuff, and let's see what we find out. Right. So I already have a niche in mind, so I'm going to go into physiotherapy, and this is specifically for like local business. So I'm going to randomly pick, like, let's say physiotherapy, right? And then because I'm in Singapore, I'm just going to pick one random Singapore company, but this specifically, this will work for a lot of the businesses that you're dealing with, especially if it's a local business. So let's think of a number. I'm going to go with number 19 because that's my kind of like my favorite number. And from the Google Business Profile later on, we'll select the number 19 from the list, right? So it's completely random. So here's what we do. We go down here and then here. So we are gonna go for number 19, right? So I'm gonna ignore the paid ads section. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So this is the site that we are going to work with. All right. So there are already a few things that I am seeing here. So I'll break down in terms of the what do I do first. And most often than not, I firstly will be looking at the current performance first. Now, even though this is an SEO strategy, right? Even though this is an SEO strategy, there are a few things that I would look outside of the SEO realm. Even though it's not directly within the SEO pillar, certain things like, for example, the design of the site, how the website is set up, all these are also very important, right? So when it comes to a few things that I look at, right? So I typically look at the current performance, okay? And then I kind of walk through with you what are the framework. And then I want to look at some business KPIs, like what are the most important business info, right? To figure out what's the most important for this type of business, right? Whether if it's leads, whether if it's email, newsletter signups, or things like that, because every business and every type of websites, they are different, right? So I need some business understanding, some business information, capture some business information. And then what I like to do is I like to look at a little bit of web design elements. And then if we go into SEO, there's a few buckets. What we'll look at is we'll look at technical SEO. Now, do bear in mind that these are the things that we look out first before we dive into doing the actual work. So for example, technical SEO, what we'll need to do is for technical SEO, we need to clean up the website. We'll need to figure out what's wrong with the website from a technical standpoint, whether they have any redirections going on and stuff like that. But we don't actually do it when we are coming up with a strategy, because the whole point of a strategy is to figure out what things to do first, and that should be based off on the priority, right? So you don't want to go in and straight away do a technical SEO if it's not the most important. And that's why like the strategy comes into play. The strategy will tell us what are the most important things we need to do first, right? So yeah, there's within SEO, there's technical SEO, there is on-page SEO, there is off-page, right? There is content, right? And then there's also analytics. But because we don't have analytics access, right? So I don't think it's very relevant, because we are doing this for a completely random physiotherapy website, right? So this is where when you're coming out with an SEO strategy, you cannot just, take a SEO strategy that have worked before and apply it to every single type of business that you see, because even though some of the frameworks that used to work in the past may work, but the business is entirely different. Where the business is at a point in time, it's also different from whether are they scaling, whether are they just starting out and stuff like that. Everything will be different. The business information and what is important to that specific business will also be different. The state of their website will also be different. Everything will be different. So we cannot just use a typical framework of what we have done in the past and then just simply apply to all of the different websites. At least that's what I believe, right? Even though some of the framework may work, like the steps may be similar in a sense, but the solutions offered will be very different based off on this initial things that we're going to look out for. And I hope this will be able to help you out and understand like what should you be doing instead of like, everybody just saying, you should run technical SEO, you should build links. Like these are kind of like things that you need to do, you will do, but again, it depends on which one should you be doing first, right? What is the priority? So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the current performance first. And because this is from an SEO standpoint, you will need some kind of tool. Ideally, if you have Google Search Console, that's best. If you have analytics, that's best as well, because it tells you how many impressions, how many clicks your current website is getting. It tells you how much traffic it's getting, where the traffic is coming from. But because we don't have that, we're going to look at it from a software point of view. Okay, so I am going to open up Ahrefs because it's the tool that I use. Okay, so I already have Ahrefs open up, but what I typically like to do first is I just want to take a look at to see where the current site is at the moment. So the only way that you can do this is simply just go to the site and just navigate around, right? So let's take a look. Immediately, right, from my screen, I can already know that there's some kind of SEO being done. And how you check it, it's just by looking at the page title. Okay, the page title will tell you a little bit of signs. Whether if this site is not optimized before, whether this site has been optimized before, because the kind of solution that you provide to this kind of website will be very different, right? Because if you can see from the page title, right, this page title has already been optimized before. You can see physiotherapy clinic in Singapore, and then the name of the brand, right? So this is an indication that somebody has done SEO on the site, because it is not a typical way of how a page title is set up, right? So immediately I already know this website either has somebody that have worked on their SEO in the past, or currently have people working on SEO for them, right? Just based off on the page title. So immediately I know that when I approach them, for example, or when I give them the strategy, it's not from a standpoint of, hey, you guys didn't have any SEO done. It's more so like, hey, this is the performance that you guys are currently getting. These are the things that you can do to further increase and improve your organic performance and get more leads organically, right? So these are just some of the things that I look at. So you can see like their page titles, this is pretty much optimized. And I usually like to look at some of the descriptions as well. Yeah, so descriptions, yeah, you can see like this, like it has been optimized before, right? And then we can go and take a look at their H1, H2s. Yeah, so there are a lot of interesting stuff. And this is slightly more advanced, because if you find a brand, right, that is doing well in SEO, typically the opportunities will be lesser as compared to a brand that have not done SEO before, because the opportunity to optimize will be way more as compared to a brand that already has SEO being done. So from what I'm looking at here, from what I'm seeing here, the kind of solution, again, we cannot just use whatever they have worked for a brand that has not done any kind of SEO marketing before and recommend it to this brand, because it's not going to make sense for them, right? Because like I mentioned, this brand already has SEO being done, and I have not taken a look at the Ahrefs yet, but I can already foresee that, this website is going to have some kind of organic traffic going to it. It's not a website that has not been optimized, right? So that means the solutions that I provide will need to be slightly more advanced. It's not the typical, hey, include your page titles here. Hey, your description is missing and stuff like that. So the solutions I offer will need to be slightly more advanced than the beginner related stuff, because they have got it all done, right? So let's take a look here. So even their header tags are very, very nicely done up actually. So physiotherapy, okay, yeah. So in terms of like the user experience, it's not that lengthy. So I mean, it's not that it's not that lengthy, but yeah. So there's some elements here which I definitely would recommend. So firstly, you can see like their design. It's not very clear that this is a make an appointment, but you can see it disappears, right? So ideally, the first four, if I do want to have to increase like the conversion rate, right? The first thing I'll do is I will remove all these like banners because it's useless in a sense, because like the image behind doesn't show any compelling, like it's not compelling at all. I would rather have a static first four, which is what you see when you land on a website. The first four, it's the first kind of like the first page that you see, right? So after this is not the first four anymore. So when you land on a page, this entire thing is the first four, right? So I would want a static first four, and the call to action should be very clear, because that is the action that I want people to take, which is in most of the time for local businesses is to book an appointment, for example, right? And I don't want it to, be hovering. Like all these are noises in a sense. It's causing a lot of friction, right? So I'm taking all of these notes down because these are the potential solutions I can provide, right? Instead of like, you have to run a technical SEO, like for what purposes, right? So immediately the first thing that I will do is change the first four here, and to make the book an appointment more prominent, right? And also I would want to have a button here instead of this. I would rather have a button here that says book an appointment, right? So that's some of the things. And then again, I'm just taking a look at the overall look and feel of the site for now. And whether is this important? Yes, it is very important when it comes to a SEO strategy, because when it comes to an SEO strategy, it's not so much about what you can do in terms of an SEO perspective, right? Because SEO is boring. SEO is just about changing your page titles and building links and stuff like that, right? But the main purpose of why SEO exists is to drive customers, is to drive leads, right? Because that's what essentially the business need, right? It's more leads, more customers, more revenue, more money. And SEO is just a method of getting there. Ideally, if you have an SEO strategy and you're ranking for a lot of these keywords, you're going to get traffic. But traffic doesn't mean anything if your traffic doesn't convert, if your traffic doesn't take an action, if your traffic doesn't convert into money for you, right? Then you can have all the traffic in the world, but that doesn't make any sense because your business is still not going to move forward. So when I look at all this design, all this plays a big part, because yes, if we run a SEO strategy, the point here is to increase the traffic, but that's actually not the main point. The main point is for them to, get leads, right? So like all these different elements, all this plays a part as well. And the next thing that I'm noticing is, yes, they have a lot of words in here, and generally, like nobody's going to read this, okay? Most often than not, nobody is going to read this, because from a UX point of view, large, long paragraphs that is crammed together, a lot of text, is not going to be the best for readability sense, right? So that's another note that I can take note on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just look at from a design element, and I'm going to just write down these notes here, okay? And what you can do after this is, if you are pitching this to somebody, you can obviously like make all of this into a nice PowerPoint and then present it. But I'm not going to do that because I'm just running this tutorial for you guys. But you can pack this up into like a presentation and then present it to whoever that you are going to be speaking to, right? If you are marketing, if you are in-house marketing, you want to present solutions to your stakeholders, then make this into a presentation and then present it over. If you're a freelancer, you're trying to secure a client, then you can package it into a presentation and then present it, right? And if you're just doing this for your own website, then you don't need to have a presentation. I'm just going to show you what you should be looking out for, right? So some notes here. Firstly, the first four design can be static with buttons, with button more, with CTA button as primary action, right? So I just want to focus on making sure that the first four here, right, it's going to be static. Like you can see this example here, this doesn't serve any purpose at all. Like the image is, it can be way better, right? So immediately I already know that because this website has got some SEO done, I already know that I can increase the performance of the current traffic that they are getting just by changing out the main first fold here, okay? And also with regards to the design element, large paragraphs, are not readable. I'm just going to put it as readability. Paragraphs, right? And most times the reason why people have this large, long text, right? It's very common. And the reason why is because depending on which keyword that they're trying to rank for, some keywords have a word count to kind of like a benchmark. So for example, if they're trying to rank for physiotherapy clinic in Singapore, right? And if let's say the top 3 or top 5 competitors, the number of words they have on that page that are ranking for this keyword, it's around 2,000. Then that's where we need to have like a benchmark of, okay, our website, in order to rank for this specific keyword, we also need to have around the same word count. And that's why like all these words are in here, which is fair play, right? But again, we want to make sure that the UX also comes into play, and we don't want to, as much as we can, we want to pay a little bit more attention to in terms of like the readability. Like I know that people will not be reading like this large text like this, right? And so we have to really think about, can we shift this text around, or can we put some spacing in between these texts to break the paragraphs up instead of like this one whole chunk of paragraph? Can we split it up into like 3 or 4 sentences instead of like this like long paragraphs? Because nobody will be reading this, right? But from an SEO point of view, is it important to have these? Yes, it's important to have these. It's just that from a UX point of view, we also need to consider the readability of all this content, right? And so again, this section here, like I don't think anybody will be reading this, right? This whole section here, nobody will be reading this, okay? And likewise the same, nobody will be reading this, right? So in terms of like packaging, kind of like packaging these words up, there's better ways for us to package these words up, right? So like, yeah, nobody will be reading this bunch of stuff here, okay? If there is, it's going to be it's going to be the minority. So again, I haven't moved on to the rest of the stuff yet. I'm just taking a look at the general look and feel, right? So yeah, nobody will be reading this. FAQ. One way of how you can actually have words within your page without like having a lot of these readability issues is to put them all in the FAQ section. And of course, in the FAQ section, you want to make sure that you're breaking things up, right? So for example, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs. Usually the sweet spot will be around the 3 or 4 sentences where it doesn't seem too long. And then you want to break all these paragraphs up so that there's a lot more breathing space in between these words, okay? And then, yeah, some things here. Okay, one thing to take note also, as much as possible, right, you do not want to have these logos here are fine. In this case, you can see that they are not linking out to any websites, right? But most times, if you have a award, right, and you have a link that is linking from your page out to another page, you do not want to have that. You want to kind of have this similar setup where you're displaying the award, but you're not linking out from your website to the other website, especially in your footer menu, which is what you see here. This is footer, right? The footer of your website, right? Because if you're linking out from your website to other websites, you're essentially passing link equity from your page to another website, right? And if you're doing it in a footer, that means you're doing it for your entire website, which is not what you want, right? So that is somewhat slightly more advanced, so I'm not going to touch more on that, but that's typically what you do not want to do. You do not want to link out from your website to another website, especially from a header, which is where you see here, header and footer, because every page on your site has a header and footer, okay? So that's slightly more advanced, but I'm not going to go into that. Whether if that's important, again, we are trying to prioritize, right? So let's see. This is generally okay, but there's some elements that I know for a fact, if we were to change that, right, it's going to improve the conversion rate by a lot. So this was for the desktop version. What I like to do is I also like to take a look at that mobile version, right? So how you check a mobile version is you go to inspect and then just simply click on this device. And then what I like to do is I just like to refresh to make sure that it's loading the correct things, right? And let me take a look. Okay, so they have 3 call to action here. Okay, so this is a chat, which is okay. This is WhatsApp. What's this? Okay, so this is the contact us. So it's not very clear, which is still okay. Yeah, let me just take a look. Yeah, you can see nobody is going to read. Nobody is going to read this, right? Yeah, and if there's a way for us to format this better, that would be great. But again, you can see I'm just jotting down all the notes. It doesn't mean that we need to solve this straight away. right? It does not mean we're sort this area because we are still over here at the web design element, right? And one more thing just for you guys to take note. The reason why I usually start off with web design, it's kind of like your house, right? It's kind of like the structure of your house. You can drive a lot of traffic to your website via paid ads, via organic, right? But if you have a shitty house, if your house is not set up in a correct place, if your shop is not set up in a place where it is going to be helpful for all the visitors who's going to be coming to your shop, then that is not the best use of the traffic, right? You can be spending a lot of money on SEO, a lot of money on paid ads, but you're sending them to a website that is not great, right? You're going to be wasting a lot of the budget that you're spending on. And that's why I pay a little bit more attention to the design, because as long as the design is somewhat okay, it doesn't have any big issues, right? Then that's fine. And that's why I usually take a look at the design first, because like it or not, sometimes when customers come to me, right, I tell them not to invest in marketing. I tell them not to invest in any kind of SEO or paid ads first. And the reason why is because their website is not at a place where they should be marketing. They should at least make their website better, right? Because the website is one of the, like I mentioned, it's very important. So yeah, so I'm taking a look at their mobile. I think their mobile is okay as well. Yeah, so the main call to actions are here, the call now, and then this is the contact us, WhatsApp, and then the chat. Right, so this is okay. I think this is okay. Nothing glaring that I should be taking notes on. Okay, so I'm going to refresh this again. Okay, so let me just go in and take a look at. So you can see like this is purely from an SEO play, right? There's no images, no call to action. It's just all text. And again, nobody will be reading this. Okay, if you land on this website and you're reading this, you're probably doing some kind of research, preparing for a technical research or things like that, right? Because nobody will be reading this. Now, one thing you also have to take note, and this is also slightly more advanced, and that's why I like to create videos like this, because along the way when I'm showing you what to take note on and stuff like that, it also gives you an idea of the opportunities that you can do for your own project, for your own website, right? When I look at this site, one thing you need to take note on is also understanding what do the searchers want, right? So for example, if we're optimizing for this keyword, neck pain physiotherapy, right? The person who is searching for neck pain physiotherapy, assuming this is a keyword that has volume and we're trying to target this group of people, right? If they are searching for neck pain physiotherapy, they are looking for the services, they are looking for physiotherapy specifically for neck pain, right? And so you need to understand what do these people want. So if these people are your target audience, what they are looking for is they already know the service. They already know what services they want, right? So you need to make sure that when they land on this page, you know your audience so well that the message on this page speaks directly to them. So for example, if somebody is searching for neck pain physiotherapy, right? And let's say this page is ranking for the keyword neck pain physiotherapy. So when somebody comes into this page, what do you think they would like to see, right? Sometimes they would like to see, like, you don't have to tell them symptoms in this case, because they already know they have neck pain, right? So most often than not, they want to see some kind of like offer, right? They want to see some kind of benefits of getting. Why should they go to your clinic for neck pain, right? Because they already know what services they are looking for already. They just want to know why should they go to yours, right? So over here, the first of all, again, I want to make sure that the people who are coming here, right, they are calling, they are sending an inquiry, they are chatting with us, and that's the main purpose of what I want the traffic to do. So in this case, like the first four, right, what I want to do is I want to make sure that I'm asking people to take an action, right? So if you are feeling neck pain, like for example, we have dealt with neck pain for the last X amount of years, or like we are experienced with neck pain, or like, things like that, right? Get your first visit to solve your neck pain issue at, I don't know whether if it's a discount or things like that, right? Because these people, that is what they are looking for, right? And then later on, you can put all of this information down at the bottom part. So how is neck pain diagnosed? Yeah, you can go through X-ray, common causes, and all this can be below, right? But the first four here, you need to make sure that you are having some kind of ways to capture that traffic, right? So again, this is slightly more advanced because I assume they already have some kind of traffic going to their site. Okay, so, and I'll give you another tip, right? Usually when you see a common pattern that is occurring within one of the page, right? In this case, this is a services page. So when you see a services page laid out like that, chances are the rest of the services page will be similar, right? So if you can find an opportunity like this, for example, I know that if I were to recreate the site design in a way, it will generate a lot more leads, a lot more actions for people to take. I can replicate this opportunity for the rest of the services page, right? So that's kind of like a hack I can give you, right? But it's not always the same. So let's find out. So you can see our services here. I'm just going to go to, let's say, this home care rehab, okay? And you can see it's the same, right? A lot of text, and this is purely from a SEO play, right? Because they're just fulfilling the words here, okay? And if I go to some other, yeah, you can see all of these are text and exercise, weight management, you can see all of these are just text. So sometimes when you find an opportunity or a solution, a recommended solution for one page, if they have similar pages, that solution can be applied for all the rest of the pages as well, right? So again, I'm just taking a look here, okay? So already there's some things that I'm noticing, right? So now let's go in and take a look at their performance, okay? So I use Ahrefs. You can use any kind of software out there, but they essentially, the way of how you use the software to determine their current performance is the same. So when I look at Ahrefs, right, there's a few things that I generally like to look at. Let me just refresh this to make sure that I get the number of links and referring domains. But there's a few things that I look at. I look at in terms of the organic traffic, how much organic traffic they are getting, what are the type of keywords, where are all these traffic coming from? Are these traffic coming from people that they want to target? Are they running any kind of paid ads, right? And then these are just some of the things that I look at. So immediately when I see their traffic, right, you can see they have some kind of traffic, right? 598, this is not the absolute. With software tools, they are usually very off. So this is just an indication of the performance of the site, okay? So immediately I'm seeing they have like keywords, they have like traffic, and Ahrefs cannot load this for some reason. And then what I want to do is, even though they are getting traffic, I want to know whether the traffic that they are getting, are they relevant to the business? And that's why this goes into the business information, right? So will the business be serving any kind of customers from other places, right? For example, if you are doing this for an e-commerce site, right, and you're selling it to worldwide, right, then all of this will make sense, right? But in this case, this is a SG-based business, right, which means their target audience, they don't care about traffic from overseas. The main traffic that they should be caring about, it's people in Singapore, right? So SG-based business, they are offering services, right? And so I can disregard all of the rest. I just only want to look at Singapore, right? So what I do is, if I've just filtered it to Singapore, you can see now the traffic becomes way lower, right? 292, okay? And the keywords are way lesser, right? So this is a correct indication of the performance you should be looking at, because this depends on the business, right? Each individual business targets different demographics and stuff like that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at their organic search to see how over the last, like trending wise, right? How is the traffic performing? Okay. And if I see their last 2 years, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of traction, right? So this is an indication. It's telling me some signs. And this is quite interesting because from the way of how I'm looking at things, right, it would seem like their website gets a lot of traffic. It would seem like it because they have their page titles down. They have a lot of words coming in here. And this is also an indication of why some things are not working. My guess is you can see all of their services are based off around just spamming a bunch of words, right? This is not user interactive at all. And that's why, again, I bring back to the main thing of SEO is not just inserting words so that we can rank for these keywords. SEO is not just, we need to build a lot of links so that we can rank for this keyword. It's a mixture of understanding what the users want, what do the algorithms want, and then combining these two together. Because you can see all of the services here, Okay, and if you're doing this, this is also like a quick reminder, like you do not just want to spam text like that, right? Because it doesn't seem like it's working for them, at least, okay, from what I'm seeing here. Okay, because their traffic is somewhat stagnant for the last 2 years. Okay, there's a slight increase, but it's not a lot. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to take a look at the keywords that they are ranking for. Okay, so physiotherapy Singapore, so they are ranking on number 7. And let me take a look. So they went up slightly here. Okay, so they are doing well for this keyword, which is one very important keyword, right? And so the solution that I would need to provide and the strategy I will need to take will be, how do we get this to the top 3 positions, right? It's not about ranking for their important keyword. It's about getting them to the top 3 position. What is the strategy for us to do that? And then that's what I will include in the strategy. Right, but again, I'm just taking a look at their benchmark. Yeah, shockwave therapy. Yeah, let's see, decompression, spinal decompression, Pilates. Yeah, so they have different locations as well. So I do also want to take into consideration of multi-locations. So I want to rank for like physiotherapy Novena, for example, physio Novena, and then the rest of the locations that they are in. Right, so that's something that we need to take. That's something that we need to take note of. Because the strategy that I'll propose to them, it's not so much about ranking for it doesn't only include ranking for physiotherapy in Singapore, but also like for their individual locations as well, right? So there's already some stuff that I'm seeing here, but yeah, there's still a lot of opportunities, despite them already having a little bit of success with their main primary keyword here. Okay, so that is some things that I like. So in terms of their current performance, okay, I'm just going to put items here. And then notes here. Okay, getting a bit of organic traffic, that's first. Okay, secondly, primary keyword, which is their physiotherapy clinic. Physiotherapy clinic? Yeah, physiotherapy Singapore, right? In position 7. Okay, this is their primary keyword. And then the rest of their keywords are not doing relatively well. Yeah, they're not doing relatively well. So one thing that I also like to do, right, it's I want to remove any kind of traffic that has their brand, because we are not gonna I'm not gonna work on their brand, right? So I just want to look at keywords that doesn't have their brand. So their brand is rapid physio care. So anything to do with rapid, I want to remove them out. And this will show me the keywords that it's not brand related. Because ultimately for SEO, what I want to do is I want to increase their non-branded traffic. People who don't know about their brand, right? Because that's what I want to do. I want to capture new customers, new audience, right? So yeah, and you can see spinal decompression. So they have one keyword that's ranking number 1, which is okay, but the volume is relatively low. Yeah, and so they have kind of like one win here. The rest, it's also the homepage, lymphatic drainage massage. They are in number 9. Yeah. So one more thing I'm also noticing is their keywords have been stagnant for quite a while. Right, so again, I'm just going to note this down. Keywords have been stagnant for the last 1 to 2 years, right? And so what will my strategy be, right? My strategy will be look at all these keywords that have been stagnant and then see how can we optimize these pages first, because they have been stagnant for a while. So we don't have to change the page titles and stuff like that. We more so have to upgrade the current page that is trying to rank for the specific keywords. Right, so again, I'm just collecting a lot of information as much as possible. Okay, and let's see, spinal decompression. So 3 has been stagnant for quite a while, which is also okay. Yeah, physiotherapy. And one more thing here, business. So I'm going to list down here, service in multiple location in SG, right? And then I will list down all the locations here. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to list out all the locations here. Okay, because now the strategy that we need to include is, instead of just going after the main keyword physiotherapy, we also need to make sure that we are targeting all these locations as well, because their clinic, their service, it's also based in these multiple locations, right? So that's why when you are doing like these kind of strategy work, you have to really understand what's the main purpose of this company trying to look for marketing services. Like, what are they trying to do? They are not trying to increase traffic, not at all. They are trying to find leads. They are trying to find ways for them to increase the number of revenue they are generating, right? So that's why all these are really important. Okay, so keywords have been stuck for the last 2 years, 1 to 2 years. And then let's take a look at some of the links that they're getting. Okay, one more thing I also like to take a look at, in terms of their backlink profile, did they increase? Right, so 178 over the last 2 years, they've increased to 344. So it seems like they are building links, not building, because I'm not sure if somebody built the links for them or if it's just natural, but their links are growing, right? From 178 to 344. And then just want to take a look at some of the links that they have to see if there's anything where you can find. And I'm not sure if Ahrefs it's going to let me find that because I don't know what's going on with Ahrefs today. But while it's waiting for it to load, you can see there's already a few things that I found here, okay? And then, so while it's waiting for them, for this to load, what I'm going to do next, right, is I'm going to look in terms of technical, okay, to see if there's anything major that we have to, that I can find. And you don't need, the best way to do this is use a crawling tool like Screaming Frog, crawl the entire website and stuff like that. But from a strategy point of view, I want to see whether if there's anything I can find straight away. And one thing that you can do is take the website, okay, and just see what has been indexed. So go to this site : and then do this check, right? So this will show you all the kind of like all the pages that's being indexed by Google. And you can just go and take a look, open some of the pages up, right? And you can see this is not very ideal. Like it's not going to rank. And let's see, when was this published? So yeah, this was published in 2020. And if I were to copy this and look at the performance since 2020 for this specific page, it's probably not going to bring in any kind of traffic at all, okay? Yeah, you can see no traffic at all, okay? And the main reason why, and again, we're not going to look at Australia because it's none of our concern, right? If we just look at Singapore, yeah, it doesn't bring in any traffic at all because if you are, again, this is just one side note. If you are doing this for your website, please avoid this because SEO, like I mentioned, it's not about just spamming articles. Your articles actually need to be valuable in some way, shape or form. Like it needs to help, right? So yeah, you can see book an appointment. Ideally, I want the book appointment here, but this page is not even getting any traffic. So yeah, this confirms some of the things that we're doing. Let me do and take a look at their blog. Okay, 2023, right? Let's see. Okay, this is also one thing that I can take note on. It's also, is it important? Yes, it's important. But again, we are trying to kind of like find everything that we can, put it all together, and then figure out what we would do first, right? So you can see like the URL. So if I were to open this up, right, you can see this URL here, foot pain in the morning causes and how physiotherapy helps. Like this is not going to get any traffic. I know unless this URL, unless this piece of article is being sent to an email list that they have or a group that they already have existing members in. If not, this page is not going to get any kind of organic traffic at all because highly likely nobody will be searching for this, right? Foot pain in the morning causes and how physiotherapy helps. I may be wrong, but highly likely people will not be searching for this, right? They may be searching for foot pain in the morning or causes of foot pain, but you can see the URL here. Ideally, the URL is the keyword that you're trying to target. And because the URL is structured so lengthy, I know that it's not going to get a lot of keywords. And likewise, earlier, like I mentioned, if you find a problem with one page, generally you can find the same problem with different pages. Okay, so for example, if you go to their blog, you can see all of their are very, very lengthy. Be marathon ready for your ultimate guide to nobody's going to read. Like it's not going to get any organic traffic because in order for you to get organic traffic, you need to publish content that people are searching for. So unless you're sending these pieces of content to your internal audience, like your email list or your Facebook group or like your Instagram, right? If not, this page will not get organic traffic because nobody will be searching for Be Marathon Ready, your ultimate guide. Like nobody. Maybe they will be searching for some variations of this. For example, how to prepare for marathon, right? And if that's the case, then this should be how to prepare for okay, and this should be the URL. All right, so it's very interesting, right? Because from the start, when we look at the site, we know that SEO has been done for this site. But the more that we go down the rabbit hole, the more we know that SEO is not done, like it's very, very top of the level, right? They didn't care about their URL structure. They didn't care about how their UX will look. They didn't care about the content that they are publishing. And so SEO has been done, but it's very minimal, right? So this presents like a lot of opportunities for us when we come up with a strategy, right? So I'm just going to write this down here from a technical SEO. URL structure is not ideal, and also like blog content does not get any traffic at all. Okay, and this is very common. Yeah, so if you have a blog, if you are running a blog and you don't see any kind of traffic coming to your website, this is one very common thing, right? Where businesses publish blogs, but their blog doesn't get any kind of traffic. The reason why you're publishing blog posts is so that you can get some kind of interaction, or you can show your brand or your content in front of someone, right? So you don't want to be writing a bunch of content and then it doesn't get any kind of traffic, right? So that's one reason why. Okay, and again, like from a user point of view, again, everything is squished up. This should be, there should be like a space in between so that the content looks way more breathable. There's space in between, there's images, there's splitting this up, and it's just all not text, right? So yeah, and then similar for this, similar for all of their blog posts, right? So again, this is just something that I found, and then let's go and take a look at some else. So I'm not going to go into, so I already found like common patterns with their services pages, with their blog pages. The next thing I can do is I can kind of like skip past all this, right? I can look for some related stuff like lorem ipsum. Okay, lorem ipsum are basically tags that you do not want to see. So they don't have any lorem ipsum pages. Do they have any tag? Okay, ideally they don't want to have tags being indexed. Okay, and okay, so they have a lot of picture of me. Okay, this is their, okay, so you can see this, yeah, in 2021. Yeah, so one thing that I also can do is I can see, let's open all this up, right? Because I'm seeing this page is published in 2020, right? So what is this? Is this an archive page? Yeah, so like these type of pages are clearly, it's not useful at all. So again, I'm finding a lot of opportunities here. I want to see whether if this page is being indexed. Okay, so they don't have their tag pages indexed, which is fine. But yeah, you can see these pages here are not really important. Yeah, myths, lower back. Yeah. So you can see like the more blog pages they have, the more opportunities there are, because there's a lot more things to solve, right? So I'm also finding some pages that are not required, but you can see like this is just one page, and I'm not too concerned, because if there are a lot of pages like this, then that's where we need to kind of like fix it. Okay, so the blog pages will definitely be one of the things that I want to focus on. Yeah, so this is 2021, and then I can go in and see, like, let's go and see if there's any other. Yeah, so they have a lot of blog pages. Okay, I'm just gonna go by them, and you can see I'm not even doing a crawl. I'm just looking through the pages that they have. Okay, so they have a visual, a place to, yeah, they have a place that shows their what do you call that, their physiotherapist, which is fine. This is very good for EAT, showing expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. But again, like in terms of just the readability, like overall, I think this is a consistent trend for this website. It's just a bunch of words being slapped on the website itself, right? So which is not ideal. And let's see these pages. Yeah, and then on page. The thing about on page is there's not much issues, right? And then off page, it's for some reason it's not letting me load, right? And the content is just readability, right? Issues throughout the site. Okay, I'm going to skip past analytics because I don't have access to the analytics, right? But you can already notice like the main problem here, right? All of this is not going to work. Like this is not going to work. Yeah, and that's the reason why they have a lot of posts but doesn't get a lot of traffic. And this is a waste of resource, because ideally when you publish a blog post, you want to have some kind of traction coming in, right? That's the reason why you're publishing blog posts. It's not for the sake of publishing blog posts, if that makes sense. Okay, and then obviously like we can go into how you can structure your content. I mentioned a little bit earlier about understanding the searcher's intention behind it, what you should be showing them first, and then the layout of the page itself. And it seems like it's a very common problem for all of the content they have here. Okay, last but not least, right? I don't want to make this video too long. So last but not least, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at their location pages. Okay, and I'm just going to take a look at one of their location page here, because like I mentioned, if you can find one problem or one pattern for one page, If they have other similar pages, chances are you're going to find the same problem on other similar pages, right? So again, that's just a quick tip for you. So, okay, their location page is showing no traffic, showing up for some keywords. Physiotherapy Singapore, no. I want to look for some keywords around physio. This Tanjong Pagar, right? So if I were to go over to the keywords and I were to type in, just do a very quick keyword check. Tanjong Pagar. And then obviously I want to put in like the different, I want to put in like the different keyword variation, physiotherapy, Jong, okay, and see whether if there's any search volume around this, just to check. Okay, so there is a little bit of search volume, not a lot, 20, but still, because this is very, very niche down. When people are searching for physiotherapy in Tanjong Pagar, they are very specific. And usually the more specific the search query is, the smaller the audience will be, but they are still highly targetable because these are your ideal group of people that you want your page to show up for, especially when they are searching for physiotherapy Tanjong Pagar. Right? They are looking for physiotherapy services in Tanjong Pagar. So again, this also depends on the location that you are in. Like Singapore by itself, it's a very small country, right? And the location is even smaller, right? So Tanjong Pagar, as compared to some other places like, let's say, Novena, right? Novena is a slightly bigger place than Tanjong Pagar. So I would assume that this keyword will have a higher search volume. Again, I may be wrong, but we'll see, right? Okay. And this also shows you what you should be doing first. Okay. So you can see like there's slightly more search volume here. Okay. And this is what you would do, right? So when you look at all this that comes into play, okay, in terms of what you should be focusing on first, what you need to focus on, you need to focus on the location pages for all this like Novena, what else? Tanjong Pagar, all these areas first, right? And in terms of priority, which one you should be focusing on, early on, like I showed you, right? The place where there's most opportunity. For example, Novena or Tanjong Pagar, which one should we be optimizing first? We should be focusing on Novena first because Novena has more search traffic, right? So the faster you optimize that page, the higher the chance of you getting results because the search volume, the potential for increased performance is higher, right? So to look at this website overall, right? I know that there is some things that is really working. So for example, the first thing that I'll do is I want to focus on this one, okay? This primary keyword, okay? It's in position 7, right? And we can definitely help to push it up to position the top 5 because just by increasing from 7 to the top 5, right, it's going to bring in a lot more organic traffic. That's first, right? Secondly, what I will want to do is I want to focus on this, okay? Because again, I'm trying to pick out the task, right, that gives us the most impact, right? So as compared to, optimizing keywords that have been stagnant for the last 2 years versus this one, versus optimizing for the primary keyword that is currently in position 7, if I were to do this instead of this, right, this pushing a keyword up to from position 7 to position 6 or 5 or even the top 3, and for the primary keyword, that is going to make the business more money versus if I were to look at other keywords that have been stagnant for the 1-2 years, which is also important, but not the most important, right? So that's first. Secondly, the homepage is already ranking for keywords, right? The homepage is already ranking for this keyword in position 7, which means they are already getting traffic. Now, what I want to do is make sure that the traffic converts, the traffic takes action, right? And that's why I want to make sure that the first flow design can be changed in a way that is allowing the users to take action more clearly. Whether that's booking an appointment, calling, whatnot, I know that by changing this first, by changing the design, it will immediately increase the number of calls, immediately increase the number of leads that the website is getting, right? Versus, yes, readability, I do have to take into consideration as well and other stuff like that, right? So that's immediately what I would do for this, right? And again, you can see I'm listing all of this down here because I need to do all of these tasks. A strategy comes into place where it's telling the business or it's telling the marketing team which one should you be working on first that can generate the most amount of impact, right? And the next thing that I will do, it's probably going to be either looking at this services pages, okay, or this like entirety of the entire website having like just a bunch of, just the readability design of all the entire site, right? Because I know for a fact that if we were to do this, it's going to increase the entire website's performance overall, right? So the first thing that I'll do is optimizing for the primary keyword, making sure that it goes up. And there's going to be a lot of things that we can do. We can change the page titles, we can drive more links towards it, we can reshuffle the content, we can optimize the content. There's a lot of things that we can do, right? But in terms of the strategy, again, I'm showing you guys the strategy behind what you should be doing first, but not so much about the what to do, right? But more like what should you be doing first, kind of like the strategy standpoint, right? So this is how you can come up with a strategy. But in terms of off-page SEO, I'm not going to even worry so much about this, because like all of these are important. There are a lot of things that we can do off-page. And again, Ahrefs is not letting me load. I'm not sure why. But we don't need to be focusing on off-page first, because just by doing the rest of the stuff here, it's going to immediately increase the performance of the site, right? So off-page is something that we need to do. But from what I'm seeing here, again, gathering all this research, all this information, it doesn't seem like the things that we should be doing first. So that's all for this kind of like strategy. Again, if you are presenting this to somebody, you can package it up. You can explain your thoughts of why this should be most important, what you should be doing first, and then kind of lay out the whole game plan, right? This is the stuff that you should be doing first, and then followed by this one, and then followed by the next things. And the reason why we should be doing this first is because of blah, 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 XXX, blah, 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 right? So this is how you come up with a strategy that works, okay? So hopefully you like this kind of video. If you like it, let me know, how would you go about doing a SEO strategy, right? So let me know in the comment section down below. I'm very interested to find out what you guys think. And if you like this video, please help me to press the like button. And if you want to be notified whenever I come up with another live SEO strategy video, please remember to subscribe to the channel. And yeah, that's all. Thank you so much for watching this video. Until the next one, stay safe, take care, cheers.